Texas candy corn, son.
Yeah, you always bring up that note whenever we talk about Texas whiskey. I've never had candy corn, so if you had to describe it to someone who has not eaten candy corn, what does Texas whiskey
It's like the sweetest. So imagine like cream corn.
Yeah.
But it's sweeter than that.
Okay.
So that's what I
like a notch up in terms of sweetness.
Like ratchet up the sweetness.
Okay.
Yeah. And now
that's a good way to describe it.
For me, like candy corn notes, because I absolutely hated those as a kid. Fucking hate. And when you're fat and you're poor, and all there is to eat are candy corns. You try to fucking force yourself to eat it because you get chalky, you get candy once a year, maybe twice. Yeah, Halloween, Christmas, and Easter. So
be dominated by candy corn.
Yeah, and when that's all that was in candy corn, especially around the Easter time, and you're trying to choke that shit down as a kid, it just didn't work for me. And now candy corn notes in bourbons can be tolerable, or it can be like, oh, that's too much. So,
but generally speaking, when you notice that note, it is it's not your most favorite note.
It's not my favorite tasting note. No, but let's talk about Still Austin. So
it's
this is
really quite embarrassing that we haven't done a video about Still Austin.
I've been down here a year.
Yeah, we've been down here a year and haven't once talked about Still Austin or been talking about Kentucky.
Or gone to the distillery. We still haven't done that.
To be fair, that's for good reason. We don't usually tour distilleries because, I mean, we like touring distilleries, but usually
done it a few times.
Depending on how the tour is, it's either too surface level or
like I'm a
really in depth and interesting.
Like I'm a dork, so I want to get in the weeds. And as we saw with the tour that we did at TX,
very surface level. Whereas before at Iron Roots, it was with the owners of the company.
Yeah, it was with the distillers.
Yeah.
Like, how deep in the weeds you want to go?
Like you don't need to show me another column still. I know what a column still looks like.
Yeah. But to be fair, so Still Austin, I think we said it was 2016 or 17.
Just about.
First distillery in Austin since Prohibition.
And Austin, for those of you that are out of the state, is the capital of Texas, and we are living in the capital of Texas. And this is like the famous one. If you tell anyone you live in Austin, they're like, "Oh, have you been to Still Austin?"
But look, if I'm splitting hairs, Bubba, we're 25 miles north of that. So we're really not in Austin. That's a drive. Anyway, so the cool thing about Still Austin, which is kind of what the Iron Root guys do, where it's a little different than how Frey Ranch with their grain to glass thought is. Like Frey Ranch,
okay, so
they own the farms.
Point being, Still Austin.
They get
also grain to glass.
Yeah, but they get all their stuff. So these are all Texas grains: corn, rye, malted barley.
Iron Root does the same thing.
Well, but they get some of their stuff from Oklahoma because they're right on the border. I think they get their rye from Oklahoma.
Whereas Frey Ranch, as you noted,
they have their own farm,
so they grow all their own grains. And dime for dime, I think Frey Ranch is the most interesting grain to glass distiller that's on the market.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Like, I don't think you're going to get. Was it the Sagamore guys do the same thing?
Or Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill's grain glass.
Yeah, but that's almost. Let's not talk about that right now.
It's not as interesting.
I've got opinions on that. But
it's not as interesting as Frey Ranch.
Well, like Frey Ranch, Sagamore, they grow a lot of their own stuff. Still Austin, there's not a lot of farmland in Austin.
No, because Austin is hot.
Yeah, well, but there's too many people.
There's a lot of people. It's the state now.
But there are a lot of farmers in the state of Texas.
Yeah, so you got to like Hill Country, you go further.
Yeah, you go Lubbock, you go wherever.
Closer to Waco, shoot.
Yeah, there are more farms out there. So all the grain they get that goes into their offerings comes from the state of Texas.
Which is cool, and I appreciate the thought process behind it because it really speaks to the state of the land in Texas.
Sure.
Like the boys over at Iron Root always talk about that, the terroir, I think. The
terroir, yep. Yep, so this is no different. Now, to be fair, before I go to the be fair part, so they do, I'm not sure where they mill all their grains, but all the all the fermentation, all the distillation, everything's on site. All the aging's on site. Now, if you've never gotten into Texas whiskeys before, and you look and you're like, oh, sweet, cask strength bourbon whiskey, and it meets all the requirements, and then you look at the back and you say, oh, it's aged at least 2 years. So,
and the reason why that
is if you're not aware, Texas is hot as balls.
We are filming on March 3rd, and the high today is a nice, smooth 83.
I thought it was going to be like 88 or something.
88.
Yeah, like threatening this like a record from like 1905 or some shit.
Maybe in Austin proper, but at least up here I didn't see my thermostat get up to crack 85. Point being, it's really hot here.
They'll like to see this.
Yeah. It's really
85.
85? Okay.
Fucking third day of March.
The point being, it's really hot here. It's really hot and it's like inconsistently humid. So I'm like on the East Coast where it's humid every day of the year. Here it's like humid one day and then it's windy and dry the next day. Point being, the climate is extremely harsh. And when you compare it to like Kentucky or what have you, this is a very adverse climate to try and be making a aged barrel spirit. Yeah. So in the state of Texas, that's why. And these are Kentucky's rules, by the way, if you understand, if you remember right. Mm-hmm. Right. So 2 years is the minimum that needs to be in the barrel. Right, you are.
4 years is more traditional. Now in this state,
exactly. 2 years is the legal definition. However, no one with their sanity intact in Kentucky does it for 2 years because it would taste
tastes like dog shit, right? So
tastes like vodka that didn't.
No, in the state of Texas where we live, it's a whole different ball game. So I've sold plenty of Still Austin bottles. I've tried a few of them. Now, Still Austin, we mentioned in another video, they're notorious not just for their normal bourbons and ryes, but they like to get, like with the Iron Root guys, into the weeds with like the red corns and the blue corns and things like that. So they'll have offerings that they'll release in the spring, they'll release in the fall that are like, blue corn, red corn. I've never had them just because people loved them and I didn't want to spend the $70-ish to try it. Right? But if you're
maybe we'll do it this year.
Maybe. If you're coming from the Kentucky world and then you get into this, I tried the regular bourbon and I thought it was fine, but once again, for me, at 90 proof or whatever, it was
a little low.
Just too low for me. But this bottle we've had for a while, and after 10 years in this world, this is a little more, like I can appreciate this a little more perhaps than I did in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have bad Texas whiskey, and I say that with air quotes because they made a bottle of whiskey. That's not an easy thing to do. Bad Texas whiskey
that you just didn't happen to like.
That whiskey that I just happened to not like that came from the state of Texas.
Yeah,
is very, very like aggressive on corn notes. Like
very aggressive on the corn. Bitter oak, and then sometimes like a bitter barrel char as well. So that could be from the distillery. They're charring their barrels too much. It's too much heat.
Too much char given the
too much extraction from the barrel. Where this smells quite delightful. Mm-hmm. Now that I've smelled it and it's sat here for a little bit, the candy corn notes have kind of gone away from me. Now it's just more like a sweet cornbread.
Oh.
Some in between like a brown sugar and a light brown sugar.
I think cornbread is right on the note. Taste it. Let me know what you think.
Little bit of sweet oakiness to it.
Yeah, there's a hint of sweet oak, but cornbread is really what it reminds me of. Probably because I haven't had candy corn, so it really reminds me of cornbread.
Well, barrel char, a little heat. Mm-hmm. Wow, I liked it before. This is much better than I remember.
Yeah.
This is really good.
It's quite good.
So I would just say, if I was working back at the store and I was pointing people
in the right direction,
in the Texas direction, If you want to see a Texas company that makes their own stuff, they take the grain and glass thing very seriously, whereas Frey Ranch does it literally on their farm. These guys do it over the state of Texas. They do that's a really good job.
Oh.
That's real, I mean...
That's a very...
I lost my thought mid-sentence like I usually do, but...
That's a very approachable glass.
Yeah, that was my point. If you were going to get into the Texas scene, this is not a bad way to go. Especially if you want to actually... Because we've talked about it before with like the TX Whiskey Company, where that's very like Kentucky adjacent.
Definitely.
Right? It's very close to that, and I give them mad props on how they came up with a wheated bourbon in Fort Worth that really tastes like Kentucky bourbon. It doesn't taste like a wheater.
Garrison Brothers is another way to go.
They're good, they're just expensive.
They're just expensive.
Iron Root is another great way to go. So I would always do it between like an Iron Root, depending on the product, and like the Still Austin. Because that's adjacent enough to Kentucky, right? Where it's still, you get some notes from that, but it's not like slap you across the face with a Kentucky whiskey. Like, here, enjoy, son. You know what I mean?
Damn, son. Where did you find this?
No, but this is really good. I wish I knew more. We didn't really look it up because we literally just made this up as we were going along. I'd love to know the rye and the malted barley content and stuff.
I'd be curious to taste Still Austin's rye because I've heard good things about it.
I've heard good things. That's the thing, right? I've heard good things about all of it. The blue corn, the red corn, the stuff that comes out in the seasons. I've heard great things. They have a bottled and bond. They have a bottled and bond rye.
Really?
They've got a normal rye. They've got a ton of stuff.
Seems like they're worth the hype because that was a pretty solid pour right
Yeah.
there.
Now, to be fair, this is... When did I buy this? Did I even buy this in Texas?
I don't think so.
I think I bought this back in Vegas.
I think you
So
did.
this is like multiple years old. But it's
Almost
still...
half a decade old at this point.
Yeah, it could be 5 years old. Yeah, but it's still really good. And you don't get... So if you've ever been on the fence about Texas whiskey and you've heard some of the conversations we've had about some other ones where there's just too much Texas,
And too much Texas is too much of the corn, too much burnt oak, too much barrel char, that sort of thing. Because, credit to the distilleries, it's really hard to make a decent bottle here on account of how balls hot it is.
Yeah, now that I think about it,
What do you think?
we might live in one of the... Well, if you're making your own product, right? If you're distilling your own stuff, this might be one of the toughest states to do it in.
One of the toughest states.
I go to southern Arizona. I go to Smoke Wagon in Nevada, in Vegas. But Aaron's not making his own stuff.
If I may, to your point, this state may be the hardest to distill and produce whiskey in, while it is still possible to make a good bottle. Because you could go to like New Mexico and Arizona, and I've seen plenty of distilleries pop up in New Mexico and Arizona, and they've gone the way of the
Yeah. Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's hot down there. It's hot in the Southwest.
Like, this bottle is from a now defunct distillery in Prescott, Arizona, and they went out of business because it's really hard to make a decent bottle in Arizona, even in northern Arizona.
And we talked about it though. They went balls deep with the Bloody Butcher corn.
They did.
And red and blue corn. It's tough to nail to get if that's all you're using or that's what you're putting out there. Now the Smokeout Hills guys, they fucking nailed it with blue.
Yeah, they did.
But they also used it as the flavoring.
Certainly.
ingredient.
They didn't use it as the foundation.
Not the foundation. So, everything these guys do, I like.
Now,
I've had multiple samples of stuff.
it's going to be more expensive Because they are a smaller distillery.
Correct.
From Texas.
Mm-hmm. It's going to cost a little more, but if you're willing to give Texas whiskey a chance, that tastes nothing like 2-year-old bourbon to me.
No.
Nothing. That actually, it's actually pretty damn good.
It doesn't even have that effervescent note that you usually find.
I don't get the effervescence. So when I first poured it, I got some candy corn, but it kind of went away. So I don't get that anymore. This is really good, man. I mean, it's going to be different. So, like I said earlier, if you're used to Kentucky or Indiana bourbon and you think, I'm going to try Still Austin, and it's because everybody says it's good, because that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens with a lot of my bottles. I see some shit on the YouTubes, and some jack off like me is like, fucking, this is awesome. But then you got a guy that's like a year into his journey, or a girl that's a year into their journey. They're like, oh, that fat fucker said this was awesome. I gotta have it. But then they just haven't developed their palate enough, right?
In general, unless you live in the state, Texas whiskey should be considered like a later stage.
Yeah, so think of it this way. It's like if you like bourbon and you want to get into Irish and Scotch, they're different. They're different whiskeys.
You have to consider Texas whiskey almost
different.
Adjacent to Irish or Scotch.
No, it's still bourbon. It's still in the U.S., but it's from Texas. It's different.
Way different.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And like I've said before, in this state, fuck, it's Texas. This is what we do. If you don't like it, fuck off, go away. Right? And they don't care.
And indeed, they don't care.
But this is not one of those, I think we talked about it with that
1693.
the one that you bought. Mm-hmm. Where if you had to go across the country and be like, yo, this is Texas whiskey, give it a shot, let me explain to you what you're tasting. This is not a big step. Mm-mm. Right? Where the other one we were just talking about, if you took that across, you took that to California.
That'd be pretty abrasive.
And everybody's chasing Buffalo Trace and shit. Like, hell, try this. This is good, son. This is good Texas whiskey. And they drank it and they're like, this is fucking dog shit. It's terrible. Right. So, it is what it is. It depends where you live and what you're used to. But I would say with the Still Austin stuff, if you've never had it and you're interested in what Texas can be.
If you can handle your proof, get the cask strength. If you can't, the regular offering should be all right.
I can't see that. What's the proof on that?
It's like 118.
Is it? Oh, that's not terrible.
Yeah, 118.
It's so small, I couldn't see it. It was blowing up, but yeah, really good stuff, man.
We have to try more of their offerings, especially because we live here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was gonna buy more, and then I tried just the regular bourbon, and as a proof guy, it just didn't.
What do they proof it down to?
I don't, dude. I tried to sample 2 years ago. And it was fine. I'm like, okay.
It must have been pretty low proof, though.
It's pretty low proof because it made me not want to buy anything else. But now, after having this bottle that we've had for
who knows how long,
probably 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many years, but
enough.
Now it kind of makes me want to buy more of their stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we owe it.